All right. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
How are you doing, please?
My is good, so we are all good, sir, madam.
We thank God. Well, your people, are they still enjoying the Easter?
Madam, they are all here.
The Easter is over, so we are in the learning season, so they should come. We are Justice Opare, please add your student ID. Justice, can you hear me, please?
Yes, madam. Please. Hello.
So please, please log out and add your student ID.
Okay, sure. I'm on it, please.
All right, thank you. All right, so I think we can start now. According to my time, it's 7 minutes after 7. Okay, so you are welcome once again to this session, and we thank God for a blessed day that He's given us and the gift of strength that He's given us as well as the sound mind that we have. Like I always say, some people couldn't wake up, others wake up but on the wrong side, they are sick, others in an ambulance and so on. Others are also fit, but without a sound mind. So if we have all this, then we have every cause to thank the Lord. All right. So if you wouldn't mind, please, one of you should pray with us to start the class. Please, one of you should pray with us to start the class. Please, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Oh, okay. All right, since you can hear me, that's fine. So that means no one is prepared to pray. Okay, so we're praying. Our Lord and Master Jesus, we thank you this morning. We bless your holy name. We are very grateful that we are alive and we are healthy. Since we cannot do anything without you this morning, we pray and we invite you to take control of all our activities. Help us to have a better understanding. Help us in everything we do. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Okay,
Amen.
so thank you. It has been a long week. We had the Easter break, so we couldn't meet last week. So 2 weeks of meeting, and I've missed all of you. We thank God for today, but I would prefer we have a quick revision, maybe in the next 10 minutes. Let's use the 10 minutes to revise what we have learned so far. You know, when it comes to adult education, the pressure is just too much. Taking care of your families, especially those of you who are married with kids, taking care of all that, job, fees, financial issues, and all that, and adding education to it. So if it happens that there is some small break where you have to rest, in fact, some of us will want to format our brains on whatever we have done to release the stress. So when we come back again, then it becomes it becomes difficult to recall. So let's use this 10 minutes to revise what we've done so far before we add up to it. All right, so please, the floor is opened. Just take us through anything at all you remember as far as this class is concerned, or right from the beginning of the class, anything that you remember. But this, since we've all been in the class, so everybody's going to contribute. All right, so can we start? Who is starting with us? Otherwise, I will just go according to the name list that I have. So voluntarily, please, let's revise what we've done so far. Yes, we are listening. Maybe you've forgotten the topics, so let me just mention the topics that we've treated so far. We've looked at database systems. We have looked at data models. Then we've looked at the relational database concepts. We have looked at the entity. So is there in the relational database concept, that's where we drew the conceptual models. Then we have the previous week we did entities as the entity relationship diagram or modeling. So that's the hierarchy. So that's what we've done so far. By inside all, we have subtopics. So please, let's quickly revise what we've done so far so we can continue. Sairam, you are welcome. Today you are late. Salon, we need your full name and your ID. Oh, my people, please, are you with me? Is it that we don't remember anything we've learned? Or you can't hear me? But I believe you can hear me. Seven. Mr. Seven Asamoah, are you there? I don't know whether I'm the one who cannot hear you or you cannot hear me.
Madam,
Because
we can
Stephen,
hear you. We can hear
you
you.
can. Oh, okay. Then please let's quickly revise. So Stephen, you can hear me, right? So since you are the leader, you are the course rep, so you take us through. So what have you learned so far? Well, I don't know what the problem is. Either I cannot hear you or whatever, because it's been 4 minutes and no one has spoken. So let's move on. Since you say you can hear me, I think that is fine. So let's just move on. So far we have looked at the database concepts. We look at what a database is, database management systems. We have looked at the data modeling, the conceptual models, when we are developing our conceptual models. Inside that, we look at the entities, the attributes, and then the relationships that they create. Then we have also looked at the keys. That is when we are developing our entity relationship diagram or modeling. So we look at the keys, primary keys, foreign keys, composite keys, and all that, taking into account how relevant they are or how important they are in database management. So today we are looking at the SQL, that is the structured query language. I've shared my slide. I don't know if it is visible.
Madam, please, we can't see the screen.
So that means you could hear me, but you have just refused to talk.
Madam. Hello? Hey.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please, your screen is not visible.
Is it visible now?
Yes, madam.
Is it visible?
Madam, please, it's visible now.
Yes, madam.
Okay. All right. So today we are looking at SQL, that is structured query language. structured query language. So actually looking at when it comes to structured query language. So we'll be looking at the basic and then functions of SQL. We'll also look at how to use SQL for data administration, that is to create tables and then indexes, how to use SQL for data manipulation, that is adding, modifying, deleting, and retrieving of data. We'll also look at how to use the SQL to query a database for useful information. All right. So SQL is a programming language that is used to interact with a database. It helps us to create, modify, or drop any object that we want to work with as far as database is concerned. And this language is categorized into two different sections or into two different categories. So we have what we call the data definition language, and then we have the data manipulation language. And we say SQL is a non-procedural language that has basic command vocabulary, a vocabulary set of less than 100 words. So this is used in different SQL dialects. So let's look at some of the vocabularies that we use or the languages that we use when it comes to SQL. We first mentioned that the SQL language is divided into two categories. We have the data definition language or data definition commands, and then we also have the data manipulation language or the commands. So we are looking at some of the vocabularies that we have under each. When we take the data definition, in SQL, in database, we have several objects that we create. I've ever mentioned that. So this this object that we create includes the database as an object. We create a table, we create views, we create transactions, we create triggers, functions, and so on. And whenever we are creating this, it affects or is about creating a structure. It is about creating a structure. So for instance, when we are creating a database, we are creating a structure. When we are creating a table, we are creating a structure. When we are creating a view, we are creating a structure. So the data definition language, which is the DDL, works on the structure. It is about the structure. So let's get this. Then, after the structures are created, we put in data. So you first raise your structure before you put in data. And this data that we put inside the structure can also be modified. We can add more of the data. We can modify the existing data. We can retrieve the data. We can also delete the data. So when we are working with the data, then we now use the DML, which is the data manipulation language. So let's get these two clear. We use the data definition language to work on the structure, creating the structure, modifying the structure, setting keys and so on about the structure. That's DDL. And then the DML, which is the data manipulation, is about the data within the structure. So inside the DDL or some of the keywords that we see in the DDL is we have the create schema. We have the create table. Then in creating a table, we know we have several attributes within the table. So we may decide to set some not to null. That means it cannot contain empty field. It should always be given a data. So that is the not null. We have the unique. We have the primary key. We have the foreign key. We have default. We have check. Creating of index, creating a view, altering a table. We want to alter a table. We want to create a table as, that is creating a table based on another table or based on a schema. Then we also have dropping of a table, dropping an index, dropping a view, and also dropping a database. We can drop the database itself. So these are some of the commands that we use when it comes to the DDL. So all this affects the structure. It's about the structure. All right, so we move on. Then in the DML, that is the data manipulation commands, which works on the data. We have the insert, which will help us to insert data into our table. Then we have the select, that is for retrieving of data. We have using the where, that is setting up a condition. Then we have the group by, we have having, order by, update, delete, commit, rollback. And then we also have some comparison operators that goes with them, especially if I'm using where, which is a condition, then I should have some comparison that goes with it. So in the under the comparison, we have all these operators, which we've done in other programming languages. That is equal, less than, greater than, and so on. Then we also have the logical operators, which is the logical and the logical or the logical not. Then we have some special operators that we use, especially when we are selecting data. When we are working with the select, there are some special commands that goes with the select. So we can select between, we can select where something is now, we can select where something is like, we can select where something is in. Then we have the exist, where something exists. Then we also have the select distinct, which make us to select an individual item out of the lot, or pick just one occurrence of the multiple, out of the multiple occurrences. For instance, so if I have student ID in a particular table, let's say billing or payments table, since student will be paying as many times as he or she wants, the probability of the ID duplicating in the payment table is high. So we can have multiple, the same person's ID duplicating many times. So if I want to select that ID, if I just say select ID to bring all of them, but we want it to appear once. So that's where we use the distinct. Then we also have the aggregate functions, which also goes with the select as well. So where we can count the number of columns or the number of records that we've selected, where we can check the minimum value of data we've selected, check the maximum of the data we've selected, and also sum the entire data that we've selected and check the average. But this aggregate functions, it goes with numeric data. That is when whatever data we are working on is numeric. So mostly we use them in the financial part where we have numeric values. So these are some of the commands that we'll be meeting in data definition and data manipulation languages. All right. We have looked at the database model already. So we said when we are creating this relationship, or when we're creating a database model, we first need to identify our customers. Then, we identify our entities. So all these are entities. Then we identify our attributes. So with these attributes, definitely one of them is going to be a primary key. So after identifying all the attributes, then now we have to identify our constraints. So we have set our primary keys, we have to set our foreign keys as well in order for the tables to be able to relate to one another. Then after that, we create the relationship. And in creating the relationship, we also mentioned that we have to set up our cardinalities. That is the minimum value and then the maximum value. So in the relationship, we can say this is what one-to-many relationship. But when we come here, how many instances of the object can we have in this entity? That's the customer entity. And we say this is one and only one. Our previous session, we looked at analytics. And this is from 0 to many. So it can happen that there is a customer here who will not have any. One customer here can also make many purchases. So here it is from 0 to 1. As we move on, if you have any question, you can ask. I can feel that today you are not in a good mood, so you don't want to talk. So I won't force you to talk. But when you are willing to talk, when you are willing to ask questions, you can ask. All right. So when we are building a database, we start from creating a database, which we have already a database. Then we now create our tables. And in creating the tables, that gives us the schema. So talking about the schema, it says it's a logical group of database objects, such as your tables, your indexes, and how they are related to each other. So that's what gives us the schema. So as you have created your database and you are creating your tables inside it, then you are already developing your schema. All right. In creating database or in creating tables, we have already created some few tables, so we are aware of this. We have to specify the kind of data we want to save in each of the attributes. We have to specify the kind of data that we want to put in each of the attributes. So we are taking a quick look at SQL data type, the common SQL data types. So we have the numeric data types, and then we have the character data types. In the numeric, we can have the number, we have the integer, we have the small int, and so on. I think we've gone through all those things, so we can just move, because I've already explained all this in the previous session. Then in creating a table, when we are creating the table, we use one line per column attributes. So all what we are trying to say is that we first go with the create key. When we are creating a database, when we are creating a table, when we are creating a view, we first have to go with the create key or keyword. Then after that, then we mention the object name. Then we specify all our attributes. But every attribute that we specify should be indicated, especially those that are not supposed to be now. We have to indicate it. And then if it's supposed to be a key, that one too, we have to indicate it. Then we also indicate the data type and then the size, that is the number of characters that we want to save in that field. So that means when we are creating our table, we have to set our constraints. So some of the constraints that we'll be seeing is the not now constraint, as already mentioned. Then if it has to be a unique field, we have to set it. If there's some default value that we want to provide, we have to set that one too. And then if we want to make some validation on that table too, we'll have to set that one as well. Okay. In creating table, one other critical thing that we have to look at aside the primary key is what we call the index. The index. So when primary key is declared, the DBMS automatically creates a unique index. This index is what helps us to access data or the records of data in every table. And we have already learned that a primary key is one of the fields or the unique field that help us to identify every record within a particular table or relation. So once we create a table and we specify the primary key, then automatically the DBMS will create that index. But in a situation where we did not specify the primary key, you can as well create your own index. So the create index command can be used to create the index on the basis of any selected attributes. It will also be that though I have a primary key, but I want to make another attribute the index. So you can as well use the create index. And then if you want a field to be unique and so on, you can as well do that.
Madam,
Yes.
please, I want to take you back a little. Please, the difference between the data definition language and then the data manipulation.
In fact, you are not taking me back a little. You are taking me back far to the beginning of the class. So I don't know why you should wait until this time.
Please, I joined when you got there. So I'm just trying to recall and I'm getting it a little
So
quick.
right from there, right at that point, you should have asked. In fact, I don't like situation where you have to go back to it. That's why at any point I'll be asking whether it's okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So data definition and data manipulation, as I mentioned, is that we use the data definition languages to create structures, or that one works on the structures, while the data manipulation languages or commands works on the data within the structure. For instance, if you want to build a shop, a store, you first have to raise your structure, whether it's a container or a one room store or a mat. Like the way we are seeing the ShopRite, the Melcom, and all those big groups. You first have to raise your structure. After raising the structure, you may have to put in some stands that will be holding the data and all, holding your items and all that. So you first have to raise your structure. And talking about the structure, I mentioned database, creating the database itself, creating the table, creating views. And then after we've created these objects, we can modify them. So if you want to alter a table by adding several other columns to it, if you want to set a primary key or constraint, any type of constraint on the structure that we have created, that is when we use the data definition language. Now, when it comes to the data manipulation language, it's not about the structure. That one is about the content, the data itself. So how to put data inside the structure that we have created, how to modify that data, not to modify the structure, not to add column, but the data itself that you have, how to modify that data, then how to retrieve that data, and finally, how to delete that data. That is the manipulation. So that's how the data is manipulated. So this is the difference between the two. The data definition is about what? The structures that help us to build our database, which includes database database views, tables, and so on, together with their constraints. And then the DML is about the data, how to manage the data inside the structures. And that's about insert, select, update, and then deletion of data. So, Miriam, are you okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so I think we can continue.
Yeah, hello, madam. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please, your co-host has left the Zoom meeting, so you're unable to see your screen.
Just a minute. Is it showing now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we are moving on. So if we are saying we use the data manipulation, okay, I think I've even already said all this. So in data manipulation, the command that we look at is the insert, which help us to add records to the database. I'm just trying to rush through so that we'll have practical in there. We have the commit, which saves have the cells, which help us to retrieve some records from the database. We have updates, which help us to modify the data that we have in the database. Then we have the where, which sets a condition. We have the rollback, which restores the database to its previous state in case we don't want to save the changes, or in case there is an error in the syntax that we have written, then it will set to rollback. But that when we come here, the commit. This commit works with the rollback. So I don't know if you be doing advanced, then be looking at that. That is when you are learning transactions. So it's inside transaction we have the commit which goes with the rollback. That is when we write multiple queries to be executed. If it happens that all the queries execute successfully, then we commit to save the changes. But if it happens that some of the queries fail, then it has to roll back. So even the ones that were successful should be rolled back so that the database will go to its previous consistent state. All right. Then the next DML command is the delete. So the main DML commands are four. We have the insert, then we have the select, we have update, and then finally the delete. These are the main DML commands. The rest will function based on any of the four that we have selected. For instance, the rollback, the commit and the rollback functions based on insert or update. And then the where that we have, I think we have a where somewhere. Okay, so when we come here, this where. The where also functions based on either select or update or delete. So the main DML commands are four: insert, select, update, and then finally delete. Okay, so inserting, for this, we'll do this at in the database. So when we are inserting, what we need to look at, the insert keyword goes with into. We insert into a table. We insert into a table or a view. So we say insert into. Whenever you have an insert, then the into keyword must follow. Then your table name will come. This select that we have here is an option. That is when we are selecting from another table to fill another table. So otherwise, you can just say insert into tables, then the values will come. Then when we come to the select, we select from a table or from a view of any object. So when we are selecting, you say select, then you list the column list, all the columns that you want to select. Or sometimes we can just put asterisk there. That means select all. So we select. And then when we are selecting, select also goes with the keyword from, because we are selecting from a table. Please take note of this. We insert into a table. So insert goes with into. Then when we are selecting, we select from a table. So select goes with the keyword from. Or multiple tables. And after that, if you want to set a condition, that is, if we are not selecting all, then we can bring our where clause. Conditional restriction to whatever select that we are, or whatever selection that we are making. As part of the selection, we can also add some comparison operators. For instance, we want to select students who are owing above 2,000. So we can say select from, let's say, or billing, where can say equal to 2,000 or less than 2,000 or greater or equal to or greater than 2,000, depending on whatever information that we want. So as part of the selection, we can add comparison operators. If you have any question on this, please you kindly ask before we move from here. But I don't want us to go far before you bring us back. So let me go over again. When it comes to insert, we insert into, then your table name will come, then your values. And these values can be selected from another table or it can be a hard-coded values. Then we come to select. We select, either we select all the columns or some columns from. So select goes with from. From where? From a particular table or from multiple tables. Then we bring our condition, that is if necessary. That's why we have it in a square bracket. So it's optional. And wherever, if we need a condition, then we can bring the condition. And the condition can also go with comparison operators, depending on what we are doing. So as part of the comparison operators, we have computed columns and then column aliases. So SQL accepts any valid expression or formula in the computed columns. And then we have what we call the alias, which is an alternate name. So for instance, when I'm selecting a particular table, let's say I'm selecting some fields. So I'm selecting student balance. In the table, the column name is student balance. But as I'm displaying, I don't want it to show as student balance. I want it to show as just balance. Then we are using the alias. I think we already know alias. That is in the normal terms. When you are giving a name which is not the actual name to a particular object. So we can use that. Then we have the operators, as we've already mentioned. Okay, so when it comes to arithmetic operators, we have the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. We use this as well to compute values into our database. So for instance, I have two tables. Then I want to pick some records, add them, and use it to fill another column. So I can use the addition, or when we have your actual bill, and then we have another field containing what you have paid, and we want to know your balance, put that one in another field, then we can select or we can subtract your payment from the actual bill. So based on that, we can have the balance. All right. Then we also have the logical OR operators, the logical AND, and then the NOT. So the OR and the AND, we said they are used to link multiple conditional expressions in a where or having clause. The OR requires only one of the conditional expressions to be true, while the AND requires all of the conditional expressions to be true. And then we have the NOT, which is used to negate the results of the conditional expression. So for instance, if I have two names in the database, so let's say I have Sarah and then I have Prince. So when I'm selecting, I say where surname or where name is not Sarah, then that means if it is not Sarah, then it is the other side of it. So when I'm picking records and then where the record is not date, and that means it will eliminate that one and then bring the other side. Okay. So here, this is just a structure or an example giving us a particular table with the selected information. Okay, so I think we'll switch to our practicals. So that whatever theory we have learned here, we go and practice it to have a fair feel of it. Okay. So those of you who will be trying it, I don't know, today to when I ask question, nobody responds. So I don't know how we should go about it. Maybe I should just practice for you to do. Those who want to practice can practice alongside. And those who are not willing, we can just allow you on the two you are in the mood. When we are in the mood and you want to communicate, then we can communicate. Okay, so the last time we created a database and then we created some tables with it. So today we are looking at, or we are building from that particular concept. Then we'll add more to it. Okay, so let me look at them. So this is my database, student DB. Then we have some tables that we have created. So in my database, I have the billing table, I have billing log, I have debtors, department, payments, payments new, payments list, student new, and so on. So these are the tables that I have. So just to refresh our minds on what we've done so far, the day we created a database, we used the create keyword. So we said create, then we mentioned the object name, which is database. We said create database, then we provide the name of the database. And the same thing happened when we were creating the tables. So with the tables too, we go to, especially when you are using the SQL query, we say create, then we mention the object name, which is table. So create table, then we provide the name, whatever name that we want to use that table. But on that day, by then we have not treated keys or constraints. So we created the tables without setting up primary keys to it. So today we are going to look at how to create a table and then specify a primary key, and also how to modify an existing table. So since we are creating table and we are modifying table, that means we are going according to the data definition language. So I'm starting with creating a new table. We have already looked at how to create a table. So here our main concern is adding a primary key or creating a table while setting up a primary key. Okay, so let's create a table and then say, so create table, and then the table name, I have bills, I have payments. So let me just say hostel. So which attributes do I want? So my first one will be hostel ID. So let me just say 8 ID. Then we mentioned that when we are creating the attributes, we have to define the data type, that's the type of data that we want to state in there. Let me just make it more meaningful. So I have postal ID. Then the data type, yeah, I just want to make it an integer. So integer. And because I want to make it a primary key. So I want to make it a primary key. So I just say it is a primary key. Next field. Then I move to the next line, and that is postal name. Postal name, and the data type here is Wk. Then I want to add another. So let's say the location of. I have some people trying or practicing along.
Yes, please.
So we have which should or can also be a Wk. Then I put in my size or the size. Okay. So I can put the number of rooms. Okay, so I have number of rooms. And since it's about numeric, I can say integer. And with the size, let's say 3. So if I put that 3, that means we can have 999 up to 999. So once we don't have number of rooms exceeding 1,000, then 3 characters is okay. That will work for me. Then maybe finally, I want to put in the amount or the, I don't even know how to, so let's say price. So the price for that postal. And here I can use the floats. And we mentioned that whenever we are setting a floating value, we have the actual size of data and then the decimal values. So here I can say it can save up to 10 digits of 2 decimal values. So I have that, and I can end my table. So we are using a data definition language, as we see here, to create a table, an object table. And then these are the attributes. Then we have set our constraints. We have set up our constraints. So from here, we can run it. I want to believe I don't have any error in there. Okay, you have an error in your syntax. Check the manual that corresponds with blah, blah, blah.
I think you left out 2 commas.
I left what?
the comma after the second and third declarations. The last but one, yeah, after the rooms, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there should be a comma here.
Mm.
All right. So we have created our table. Hostel table is here. So we have created our hostel table. So these are the columns that we identified or we specified. Okay. Can we move on? So here we have used the create and then certain constraints command in the DDL. Okay. We also mentioned, so at this point we have created. We also mentioned that we can modify. We can modify. So now that we have created this hostel table, it's already in existence. Maybe we want to add another column to it. We want to add another column to this particular hostel. So at this point, we are not going to create, we are only going to modify. So when we go to our SQL, then we are not using create, but we use the next keyword, that is alter. So we say alter, we are altering a table. So alter table, and which table are we altering? The hostel. So alter table. And how are we altering it? We are adding another column. So we say add column. So which column are we adding? And our name is okay, so let me just say the supervisor or the matron. So the matron of the matron of this and so on. So let's run that one too. Okay. So yeah, we have modified a structure. So we are still within the DDL, that is the data definition language. We are working on the structure, but not the data. So let's look at our hostel now. So a new column has been added. Sairam,
Madam,
are we on?
yes, please. But today I have light out, so I'm using my phone.
To create the database,
No, please, to
so you are not
for the
practicing.
no, please. But when the
Oh,
light comes, I'll do that.
all right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have created a structure, and then we have modified it. Okay. So the same way that here we are using a query, and you can also use the wizard to do that. Okay. Now let's pick one of the tables that we created previously that we didn't add primary key. Then we use the wizard to add a primary key to it. Let me see if there's a primary key on this. Okay, so our billing table doesn't have a primary key. So now we select the table. Then we can go to the columns. So we say columns. Oh, we already have a primary key here. Okay, so let me see if we can pick another table that doesn't have a primary key. Otherwise, we can just create a new one. All right, so this table doesn't have a primary key. And once I select the table, when I selected the table and I go to the columns, you see that it's giving me the entire table structure. So this is the table schema. So this is the schema of the table. So the schema gives you the attributes, the data types, and all other settings that you have performed on that table. So this is the schema of this table. Or we can also say metadata. So metadata is what? A data about a data. So when I take this admission number, what data do I have about it? This admission number field is telling me that it is what? A VACA, and then the size is 12. It runs on this particular characteristics or this particular feature of the collation. It says here we've set it to be null. But is it null? We say yes. Is there any default value? No. So this is data about data. So this admission number data that we have here, these are the descriptive data that we have around. So we have, when we put all this together, we have the table schema. But once I pick one out of it, then it becomes a metadata. Okay, so now we have this admission number field. When I check the admission number field, then I'll go down and say we want to make it a primary key. All right. Then when I pick a telephone number, we have telephone number here. So when I pick this telephone number, we can go ahead and say it should be unique. So meaning whatever telephone number that is entered for one particular record should not repeat. So we can make it, we just set it to unique. So we are still working on, okay, here it appears I already have some data in there which is already duplicating. So that's why it's not allowing me to make it unique. But supposing we don't have any record there, we just set it to unique. So it will not receive duplicated data. You can do the same thing for email. If you have an email, you make it unique. All right. Then okay, we have name, first name, and then we have last name. So these two, we can modify them, set them not to be null. Because we cannot have student records and then the names are empty. So we can set it not to be null. So I can just go to change. Then we come here and say not null. Okay, so here, because the null has been ticked, so we just uncheck this, then it becomes not null. That means when data is being inputted, that particular field should be fixed, or there should be data in that field before the records will be saved. All right. So when we have done all this, I think we're working on this. When we have done all this, and then we give this schema to the UI designer, whoever is developing the user interface, then that UI designer will look at the settings that we have here and use that to develop the interface. So if we are saying that mission number flow should accept only 12 characters, then when I'm developing an HTML form, I'll have to set my maximum length so that you don't even allow the person to type more than the 12 characters for you to be tracking errors. So if I say it is not now, then I have to make that field a required field so that the person will be forced to put in data. So this is few things or something small about the data definition language. So we use it to modify, we use it to create structures, we use it to modify structures. And then the third one we said is that we use it to drop. So we can use it to drop some structures. So let's assume we come here and then we say, oh, yeah, this religion, we don't need it. So I'll just check it, then I'll say drop. So do we want to drop it? Yes, we want to drop it. And then it is removed. So we don't have the religion over there again. The same, so here we are using the wizard. We can also write that query, or we can write a query to perform that. All right, so let's say here we have region, and we don't need this region. So we want to write a query that I'll just go to my SQL. Then we have looked at create, that is creating the structures. We have looked at alter, so don't forget, we look at alter, which help us to modify the structures. Now we're going to look at drop. So if we are removing the entire structure, let's say we are removing entire database, we are removing entire table, then you just go ahead and use your drop, or you start with a drop. But if you are removing a column within a table, then it has to start with the alter. So we say alter table. So alter table, and then the table name, we're using students 1. And then what are we doing? So we are dropping a column, drop a column. In which column? Region. So we are removing just a column from the entire table. So this is also what? Modification. That's why we are still going by the alter. Okay, so let's move on. Run it. We really want to execute this? Yes. Okay, so we go back to stage 1, and the region is no longer here. The region is no longer there. But as I mentioned, if we want to drop the entire table, please mind you, when you drop a table, when you drop a database, you can't recover it. It's gone and gone forever. So let's say we want to drop, let me look. Some of the tables are they are actually there for our learning. So I don't want to drop them and then really come back. Okay, so let me drop the payments list. So if you also have some or I can still drop this same table because I created it out of the existing one. So here, I'll just go there and then we say drop. Then you mention the object name, so drop table, and then the table is what? Student 1. So yes, we want to drop it. Okay. So if we look inside my tables, now the student 1 is no longer there. Any question? Okay. All right, so this is about the data definition language. Everything we have done here is about the structure, creating the structure, modifying the structure, modifying the constraints within the structure, and then dropping or deleting a structure. Okay, so if there's no question, then we can move on. Now we are moving on to the data manipulation languages or the data manipulation commands. In looking at the data manipulation commands, we were looking at the insert, select, updates, and then delete. But we said inside that, we have other commands that goes with them. And one of them is the where clause. We have the group by clause, we have having, we have the comparison operators, we have the logical operators, we have the special operators, and then we also have the aggregate function. So let's take a quick look at some of them. So we go back to our database. Please, a quick one. I have created 2 folders on the LMS, one under the conceptual model, and then the other one under the entity relationship model. So please drop your work over there. We'll mark it, so please drop your work. And the instruction is, even though you are working in groups, every student should drop it. So if you are 1, use your name and your ID. So take a copy of the work, then save it with your name and your ID, and then submit it. So we have, I think we have set groups also. Group 1, per the number of students in that group, we have to receive the same work for that. But the nice part is that when you take it and you want to modify it, you can modify it. You can do your own modification, then you submit it. So let's submit those 2 works. Then next week we'll do some quizzes. But I think next weekend we are not meeting. Course rep, are you right?
Hello, madam.
Are we meeting next weekend?
Unless I check the timetable.
When I check, it is asynchronous learning, and then it said self-learning or self-studies or something.
Okay.
So that means we are not meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put some quizzes there so that you can look at them.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Then I also mentioned we'll do a final presentation. I can't remember if I've given the, okay, we've given the topic, so that's where you have started building. All right. So now we have created our tables. And then we were looking at the data definition language. So now we are moving to the data manipulation language. So now let's pick the tables, or let's pick some of the tables. This, I already have in some data, a lot of data. So let me just use I was having, doesn't mean I've dropped that one. Okay, student news. So this is what I'm looking for. So we have this table here, which has the columns of admission number, our first name, middle name, last name, gender, and then program. So this is the structure. Now we're going to look at the first DML command, which is the insert. So we go to the SQL, then we say insert. Then we say it goes with what? Into. So insert into, our table name is student's name. So you also have to specify your table name correctly, please. You don't use the student name. And then these are the fields. So I will mention my fields. I have admission number. I have first name. I have middle name. I have the last name. I have my gender. And then finally, I have program. So I've listed all the columns. If you remember the query that we saw in the slides, it said insert into, then the table name, then you list your columns. So I've listed all my columns. Now, what do I want to put in there? So I want to put the values. So you continue by saying values. Then inside the values, you open another parenthesis. Then we now start. So with my first data, which is the admission number, because it's a string value, so I'll put in my value there. So Sayram, give me your ID.
Okay, 25
Mm-hmm.
26
Mm-hmm.
11
11
0014.
0014. Okay.
Yeah.
So we bring our comma here. Then the next field for the surname, no, sorry, first name. So let's say Sayram. And then the next one for the middle name. Let's assume we don't have a middle name. So if we don't have a middle name, and that is optional, it's not compulsory. So I'll just put in a quotation, that is an empty string. Then I'll come here. The next one is what? The last name, so I have you. The gender is female. And then finally, I have the program, which is it IT?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I have my records. At this point, we are working on the data, but not the structure. We are working on data, but not structure. So we are adding this data, which is the values. We are adding this data into the structure. Are we okay? Can we move on? So we can go
Yes,
ahead
madam.
and then we run our code. Good. So let's go to let me copy this query first. Okay, so go to the students new. So let me see your record. It's here. So that is it. Okay. So now we have looked at adding one record to our table. So let's go ahead again to look at adding multiple records at a time. If I have multiple so insert into, then I have the structure values. This is the first set of values. So I can just copy this. That is, I'm adding multiple records. So over here, we'll bring a comma here. That means we are done with first set of records. The next record will come. We can bring a comma. If I have multiple records, I can just be adding. But don't forget that each record is going to be what? Different values. So maybe here the ID is what? 21, or let me say 228. That is for the next person. And the name, the first name, we put Prince. Maybe he has a surname, sorry, middle name. So we have our Osei, and the surname will be Yabua. The gender is male now. Then let's assume he is doing computer science. CS. So that means we have our next record. So you can modify this ones to the rest. So let me just change this to 215, and then maybe this to 216, because it's an admission number field, which is a primary key. So if I don't change it, it won't save. So let's assume we have this set of possible. So we have all this. Then we can run it. So we are expecting to see additional. Let me change this one too, because this ID already exists. Okay. 215. Okay, so our queries have been executed. So we go to the students new and then see what we have in there. So Sayram's record has duplicated over here. Then the next one, which is print, also there. Any question? Those who are trying alongside, are we good? Can we move on?
Yes, please.
Is it only one person that's trying? Is it only one person who is trying?
Madam, there is light out at my end too. So
Hey,
yeah, today it's quite surprising. Light out everywhere.
is there someone?
Madam,
Light out.
No, not at my end. I have light.
So are you trying it?
Yes, please.
Adams. Mr. Adams Salifu.
Yes, madam.
Light out or trying?
No, please, I'm trying.
Unless Akwesisaki, please add your ID. Are you trying it or you have light out?
Please, I don't have light out.
So are you trying it?
Yeah.
And is it going well?
No, I have some errors. So maybe when we are done, I'll reach out. I'll rewatch the video to correct it.
Okay. But add your ID to
Okay.
your name. Mr. Edu Desmond.
Yes, madam.
Light out.
No.
Trying.
Yes.
Noble.
Madam,
Light out or trying?
no, I'm having an error, so I'm not trying for now.
Hey. Now
With the exam.
with the exam.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Collins. Collins Obin Odro.
Hello, madam. Please, I have light out here.
Elvis. Light out or try? Why can't you talk? Elvis, do you have a problem with your voice? Because you are giving me thumb up and I don't understand. I want to believe you are not AI. So if you're a human being, then please talk.
He's saying he's having a problem with his microphone.
Oh, okay.
He just
right.
types in the message.
Okay. Ahache,
Madam,
what thing they go on?
madam, I left home to come to work so that I have a peace of mind. But I just got to work and realized they are doing fumigation, so I have to wait for some time.
Sorry for you. Kojo Francis,
Yes, madam.
trying.
Yes, I'm following.
So is it going on well?
Yes, please.
All right. Nyakon, Andrews, trying.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Prince Kwao,
Yes, madam.
trying.
Yes, I was, but along the line had some errors. By the time I was done, you had moved to the next day. So I'm writing them down so that I will do it when we are done with the class.
It's all because today you have refused to talk. Otherwise, at the point you had the error, you could have called back so that we rectify for you to continue. But today you have all refused to talk. I don't know why.
And we are sorry.
All right, that's I think the last person.
Please, I was also trying, but at the point I missed some of the steps, so I paused for now and focusing on the glitches.
All right. Okay, so thank you. So let's move on. So we have looked at the DML.
Madam,
Yes, Sarah.
please, your screen is not showing.
Okay. So we look at the selects. Oh, sorry. We've looked at the insects. So we are moving to the next. Now, with the insects, if you remember what we were looking at in the slide, is it showing now?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. If you remember what we were looking at in the slide, after the insect, he didn't say values, but he said, okay, so we have the insect, then values here, but there was another one. Okay, so that says insert, and then it's selected the records. Okay, so let me just move on. There are times that we can insert values from another table or from one table to another table. So let's take a quick look of that one. So what we have done now is inserting hard-coded values. Inserting hard-coded values. So let's look at a situation where we are using an existing table to create another table, or picking the values from one table into another table. So I have these two tables. So I have payments, my payment table is quite big. Then I have this table here, payment list. Which has some fields: admission number, student name, class, telephone number, and so on. Okay, so we're going to pick some records from this existing table and then put it inside the payment table. So here we are using an existing data from some table and we are inserting it into another table. So the first thing that we want to, or we have to look at, is the structure of where we are sending the data. So we are inserting into this. We are inserting into the payment list. So let me okay. So before we do that, let us first treat select because it goes with select. So let's treat select so that we understand the select. After understanding the select, then we do the writing into another table. So this is the table that we are working with, which is the student new. So we are going to look at the next DML command. So select, that means we are retrieving. And the table that we are working with, here is the field, the columns are here. So we are selecting just the admission number, the first name. I think that's okay. So select admission number, then comma. Then we also say, then we say the select goes with what? From. So we now say from, then the table name will come. And the table name is students new. So we're selecting admission number, first name from this table. So we can just go ahead and then run it. So this is a simple select. So it's giving us our records. So that is it, picking just two columns. All right. In a situation where we may want to see everything inside that table, for that one, we don't limit it. So we put asterisk here. Most of the time when you say students should read the query, and then they will say, select asterisk, then from this. But we say select all, the asterisk means all. So select all from students new. So we run it and then all the records, that is all the rows, and then all the columns are showing. So whenever we use the select all, it affects all the rows and then all the columns. But when we use the select, that is listing the columns, it's going to affect all the rows, but the selected columns. Just like what we did initially, selecting the admission number and then the first name alone. Can we go? So now we are looking at selecting some records, not just the columns, but some records, that is some rows, some of the rows. So now we want to select all IT students. Okay, the IT students, they are named. So we want to know those who are not having programs. So we go back to our code and then we say select new. Then now we have to set a condition. So moving on, then we say where what? The program, we want to know those who are not having program. So we say where program equals, so you see that we are moving into the so where program equals empty. So let's run it. Okay, so it's giving us all the students who are not having program or whose program is empty. All right, we are moving on. So still on the select, now we have moved into the comparison operator. We can still proceed to the logical operator, and the logical is what? And, or not. So that means we are checking on two different attributes. The first attribute that we are checking on is what? The empty space. And we also want to check on maybe those who are doing the CS. So where program is space or the same program is FCS. So here on the same attributes, but we are checking on what? Two different values. Those who are having space and those who are having the CS. And don't forget that in the slides, we mentioned that whenever we are using the OR operator, that means when any of the statement is true. So if this is true or that is true, it will definitely fetch some records for us. So we go ahead. So we see that it has increased. So now it's adding those who are doing the CS. So wait. Okay. We can still go back. So here we have used what? The logical OR. So let's look at the logical AND. The AND is saying that both statements will have to be true. So this should be true, and then the other one should also be true. Now, when we are using the AND, the person should have this and then have the other one as well. But if we are using the one attribute, here, this is what? OR. So somebody will have this, and then another person will also have this. If you are introducing the AND, we said the person should have the first condition, and then should also be the second condition. But we cannot have the same person whose program is what? Empty, and at the same time, it is CS. So the and normally goes with different attributes. For the and, it goes with different attributes. So we want students whose first attribute is this, and the second attribute is also something. So let's first analyze our students. Is my screen off?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Because I sensed something. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, madam.
All right, good. So we go back to our code. So we are looking at the student table. So we want to use the and. Here we want to say, okay, so where the program is IT and the gender is male. So we are working on two attributes now. I'm stressing this again. Whenever we are using the and, then the logical and, we have to set on two attributes. And the condition is the person should meet both the attributes, or there's condition that we have said both statements should be true before we can get the data. Once any of them is false, that data will not show up. So here we are setting it on what? The gender and then the program. Okay, so we go ahead to our SQL. So that's the first query that we have. So here we say, where the program is IT, then we move to gender. So let me first come here. And gender is male. Okay. So that means we don't have any who is IT, and at the same time, we don't student who is doing IT. So let's go back and then say CS. Okay, so we have one student who is a male and is offering CS. So do we understand?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So this is the second DML command that we have looked at with its multiple commands or sub-commands that can come with it. So we look at insert, we have looked at the select. So because of our time, let's quick look at the update and then the delete. So we can bring the class to an end. So an update, we may want to modify some of the data that we have there. Now we are not modifying the structure, but we are modifying the data. So still on student new, when we first look at the database, we see that we have some students who do not have names at all. Others do not have programs and so on. Okay, so let's come here. So we can pick a particular ID. And so we want to modify this particular record. And don't forget, whenever you are updating, the update should go with the primary key or a particular key, particular attribute that you want to base on or use as a base for your update. So we go there, we go back to our query. Then we use the keyword update, and then the object name will come. That is the table name, and our table here is student new. So update student new. Update also goes with set. Insert goes with into. Select goes with from, and then update goes with set. So this is the table name. And then set what? The set is about the attribute, that's the column name. So which columns are we going to update? We update columns. So we have to know the columns that we want to update. And we know that this ID we have picked, the person doesn't have a first name, surname, and then program. So we want to modify all of them. So set the first name to, let's say, James. That is the first column. The next column that we want to update. So we bring a comma. So middle name, let's assume the person doesn't have a middle name, so we ignore that. Then we move to the next one, which is the last name. Equals, then we have Mensah. James Mensah. And then the gender, since it's a James, then the gender is a male. And then finally, we want to update the program as well. So the program, let's say the person is doing CS. Okay. If I leave my statements like this, update student new, set first name is James, last name is that, gender, blah, blah, blah. And I end and I run this. This is going to update the entire records that we have in the database. It's going to update the entire record. So we bring the condition to limit it. So we say where, and then we are based on a particular field. That is the admission. So where admission number is this. So that means we are limiting to one record. We are limiting to just one record. So when we have this, we can run it. I believe I have no error. Okay, so we can go back to our students. So that is the record in there. Okay, so that is for the updates. We can also update a group of people once we have a particular key to select or to be able to see all of them. For instance, if we have another column here that says we want to update all students who are doing or offering the IT program to level 200. Then so we just write update students, set the column to maybe level 200, where program is what? IT. So it will do it for all those who are having IT or those who are offering IT. Okay, so that is for the update as well. And the last one is the delete. Delete. So let's say we want to delete all students who do not have first name. And then here we have some students with name, but we see that the gender is on. We want to delete this set of people and then that set of people. So here we are deleting based on what? Two attributes. So the first attribute and next attribute. So now what our keyword will be delete. So let me stress this too. When we are removing data, we use delete. That is, we are permanently removing the data, we use delete. But when we are permanently removing a structure, we don't use delete, but we use drop. We use drop. Okay, so delete. From our table is students new. Then our condition will come where our first name, that's the first condition. We say where the first name is what? Empty. Then we say which logical operator are we using? Are we using and or we are using or? We are deleting those who have first name empty and those who also have the gender as on. So which logical operator are we using?
And.
And okay, any other opinion? Any other opinion? All right. So sorry, one is empty and gender is on. So let's run it. Yes, we want to delete. How many records were affected? 0. Why is it 0? Let's go inside our student table. I mentioned that whenever we are using the and, that means the first condition should be true for the people or for the selection. And the second condition too should be true. So if we are saying and, that means when we pick this set of people, where first name is empty, that is true. But where gender is on, is it true for these people? It's not true for them.
Yeah, it's not true.
Now, when we use when we use the second set, when we take this the gender, with these people, they all have first name. They all have first name. So that why it's off again.
Yes.
Is it on now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So when we're using the second condition, when we take these people, the first name is false for them, because they all have first name, but the on is true. So that means here we have to use what? The all. So all those who are having this as empty, or they are having this as on. Do we understand the concept now?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So we can now go back to our query. I didn't even copy it. Okay, so our query was delete from students new where first name is empty, or so we're going to use or gender is on. Then we can run that. So 6 records affected. Let's go back to our table and check. So this is our table. Well cleaned. Any question? Okay. So if there's no question, then we'll end the section here for today. So we'll continue building our database. And the last time, I think I asked that you create some tables, which you mentioned you have already created. So we are going to try the insert, or we are going to try whatever we've learned today, right from the DML to the, from the DDL to the DML. So first, drop your tables. Let's see your table structures. Drop it in the folder that has created. Drop it in there. Then you do a new update. So whatever update that you do, you write a query, copy that query to Word, because you're already working. So copy the query to Word. You run all those updates. When you finish, give us a new structure of your tables. Then let's see the new structures. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully next week we shall, in 2 weeks' time, we shall meet again. So I'll post the quizzes there, and then any other you have to do, we'll post it there and we'll notify your course rep so he will inform you. But even if he has not informed you, let's try to be visiting online to see the update there. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Have a wonderful weekend too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye. Tyram,
Madam,
as for you, I did for you, okay? So if you are working and you're having any challenge, you can let me know.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And what about us?
Madam,
You say you there
only
for
Sharam.
what about we?
In fact, I did for you. Oh, you are trying to be jealous.
Funny enough, Madam, I'm a new member of this class. I even joined late this morning.
You joined late this morning. So who is this our new
Yes.
member? So that we you.
I'm Chimakomi. I didn't know we had class this morning. I only came to check my phone, then realized we had a class. So I had to join midway. I even joined around 8:50 thereabout.
Oh, Chimakome, then sorry for you.
Yeah.
Because in fact, we are almost ending the class. We have only one topic left.
Wow.
We started a long
Okay.
time ago. I think it's in March or in February.
Yes.
So you have a long way to go. But
Yeah.
we
So,
have
Madam, I'll be checking the videos on the YouTube. Then, if anything, then maybe I'll contact you
sure.
or the course rep. Yeah. Now I'm also.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Some people have dropped already. I wanted to take a screenshot of our attendance. So those who are still online, please hang on. Let me take a quick attendance.
Okay.
All right. So I'm done. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah, Stephen. Stephen. Is Stephen here?
Yes.
Please check your DM. Your WhatsApp. I just DM'd you.
I be money.
I don't talk to mobile man you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I work on it.
All right. Thank you.